Hello and welcome to another episode of Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Alright, this episode, very short episode. We're back, of course, with Fleet Commander Nimitz, working on the second edition rules. Only the second edition with the island expansion maps thrown in. I just had a huge battle in New Guinea. Okay, so I thought I'd share a few thoughts here because the big change really is over here on this part of the map. So let's focus on that. Whoops, wrong direction. Where the orders are for the Japanese, and as I noted in my previous video, it's now gone from 10 was the highest number all the way down to 19 plus. Okay, and there's an extra column added for supply. Alright, so basically with the supply, or with the new movement orders, the Japanese supply track, let's zoom in on that a little bit more. There we go. The Japanese supply track there, basically depending on where it is, that influences the modifier, okay, here for each of the rolls. So for example, the last roll I did here, you can see that I had a +5 modifier, because it's 1942, that's the campaign I'm doing, to the die roll when I rolled for the orders further down. Okay, so that I thought was interesting. There are some orders that take away supply, especially like offensive ones, which makes sense. Ones that are more defensive in nature, of course, build up the supply and increase the modifier. Okay, now the thing is, though, at the beginning, because the Japanese supply started at 0, and I think it has to be reset to 0 every single turn, but I'm not 100% sure of that. That's one thing I'm still kind of working out the, yeah, it is. Post-battle, after you do the Japanese reinforcements, you reset the supply counter to 0. So, of course, at the beginning, because there was no modifier, then the best you could do on the chart down here, let's zoom out a little bit, there we go, and we'll move over, was down to 10, okay? And as you can see here, 10 or less basically is going to get you either a hold order, a refit, or withdraw. And this is either no movement, heading home to Japan, or one closer to Japan. So until you get the resupply modifier past this first row on the track, then you basically are having very small orders. Now granted, you're supposed to go with the smaller stacks to the bigger ones, but I still was having some trouble getting folks moved around, even so. Especially the thing I thought was interesting was, because the Japanese resupply was at 0, when I was rolling, when I was scouting at first, of course, what did I want to do? Well, naturally, I wanted to find out where the Kido Butai was going. Okay, the 6 big fleet carriers at home in Japan. You know, the Akagi, the Kaga, the Hiryu, the Soryu, Shokoku, and Zuikaku. And, of course, without the modifier, then they weren't really going anywhere, because right away, at the start, because of the way things are here, okay, even if it's the first roll, but even worse if it's not 3 or less, then you're only looking at some supply. Oh, my hand's blocking it. Okay, let's try it this way. Then you're looking at supply numbers of only 2 and 1, and you got to get past 3. So if you roll for those first couple ones and draw those aircraft carriers, then they're not going anywhere. So that I didn't like, because then it kind of makes scouting counterproductive. Because, of course, you know, I want to know where they're going. I want to take that chance, as Abba would say, but it didn't work out so well. Okay, so that was a little disappointing. Okay, as a result of what did happen, let me show you the map here now in full. You can see that we have, unfortunately, we still have the big stacks. Okay, we've got this humongous stack in Japan. We got this giant stack in New Guinea, which is not so bad, but I mean, you know, New Guinea is an objective. Okay, we got a bunch of ships that end up in the Philippines. That was a little odd. And then way over here, I guess this is like a long-range bomber strike from Wake Island. There's this one little air unit that is on its way to attack Midway Island. Okay, so this is after the movement, but before the battle, of course. All right. So, I'm kind of curious now what's going to happen when I add the fleet cards. Okay, because the Admiral Yamamoto expansion here, okay, you can see, now these guys will move together as a group. Okay, now I'll have to check the rules in detail because I'm still kind of working on that, you know, whenever you're rolling for ships. So it'll be interesting to see, but by keeping them together, let me find one of the bigger items here. Okay, so like here. Okay, so now with the expansion, in theory, all these ships here, the Suikaku, Shokoku, Shoho, Taio, I think is how you pronounce that one, and then these other two small ones should be going with them. Okay, but of course that begs the question, for a carrier group, it has, if you notice there, let me put it back up for a second, it has one battleship, so it's like, where's the cruisers and destroyers? Okay, because if you play a game like Carrier, John Southard's game, you know you have to have at least 6 destroyers as part of a screen for the U.S. Per carrier. So, not so sure how all that's going to work just yet. But that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to try it now with these fleet cards for 1942 that will create different groups that will then, of course, move as a group, as a unit, and hopefully we'll be able to get rid of these big stacks, I'm hoping. But I will be curious to see if that works or not. So far, the new orders... I hesitate to say it's a who situation. Okay, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Not quite there, but I'm a little concerned, especially the scouting, because then it's like, why bother? Well, why bother, of course, is because you want to know where the ships are going. But if they're not really going anywhere, and the chances of them not going anywhere, okay, especially if you end up rolling, so basically a 4 through 10. So that's what, 70% chance that you're only going to get 2 or 1 supply points. And if you draw those carriers, they're not going anywhere from Japan, which again kind of defeats your purpose. I guess unless you want to immediately try to strike back early in 1942 at, you know, the Gilbert Islands maybe, or Wake. But so I'll be curious to see what happens with the fleet cards. Now granted, this is a small sample, obviously. It's only 1 turn, but these are some things I noticed right away with the way it's operating. And again, because the supply is reset to 0 every turn, this is the kind of thing that could happen again, okay, if you decide to scout. So, yeah, I don't know what... I mean, I guess you could probably house rule some kind of fix, but again, this is supposed to be 2nd edition. This should be, in my opinion, okay, and if I'm missing something, please, in the comments, please tell me what I'm missing. But what I see right now, and what I've observed, there seems to be a bit of a problem here. There seems to be still a hiccup. And this is supposed to be 2nd edition. So, alright, so, again, just a quick little analysis here, just a quick little discussion. Excuse me. I did like the individual characteristic of the New Guinea map when I was reading it and stuff, so... we'll see how those work out too. But again, since the 2nd edition, the meat, the heart, you know, where's the beef? Well, the beef is supposed to be in the new movement orders and the new supply track. Initial impression is, well, and I know I use this analogy a lot, but I always think it's very appropriate. My initial reaction is kind of like Harry Shapiro in Stalag 17. So how are they treating you? I like it here. So we'll see what the fleet cards do. Okay, since the unit should be moving as a force. So that will be interesting to see what will happen with that. Okay. Yeah, they always move together during the Japanese order steps. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. I'm hoping this will fix this now. Which again, if it does fix it, if it does make play better, then of course the $64,000 question is, why wasn't the Yamamoto stuff just made part of the 2nd edition right off the bat? IDK. Alright, so those are my initial thoughts. comment below, especially some of you that have tried this already too. Tell me what you think. And again, if I'm missing something about the scouting, please do share. So this is Tim Korsnoy from Bones Wargaming, saying I'll see you again once I find out what happens with these fleet cards when I use them with the new order system. Thanks for watching.